Hey everyone, Brad Porter here with your weekly Sunday update. Hey, lots to talk about this week. I want to talk about AI. I want to talk about robotics. I want to talk about my new podcast. I want to talk about scaling. So I'm trying to figure out where to start. There is so much going on in robotics right now. RJ Scarin's the founder of Rivian, had just announced a large fundraising for his industrial robotics company with the thesis that we need full stack robotics for industrial applications. Completely agreed. And then Travis Kalanick, Cloud Kitchens, announced Atom, kind of transitioning Cloud Kitchens into a robotics company focused on mining and material movement. We have Bedrock and a few other, there are lots of robotics companies coming up, and I think we have a lot of people moving into the robotics space, which is interesting, exciting. I am finding that social media, my feeds are overwhelmed with like hot takes in robotics right now. We're in physical AI and robotics, but there's kind of something missing in this, which is really kind of the thesis behind the new podcast. What's missing is actual deployment experience, right? We have great founders, academics, scientists, moving into robotics, raising capital, going after, and we have incredibly little experience deploying robotics at scale. And so, obviously, this Sunday update, my Top of Mind podcast, is about trying to give you kind of a weekly view of what's really going on in robotics and try to bring some of that experience of actual deployment into the conversation. But what I'm going to do now with the new podcast, so we'll be launching this new podcast in a couple weeks here by the end of the month, and the podcast will be called Deployed. Right? And we'll be talking about deploying robotics, but deploying capital. My first release will be Jeff Wilke, Amazon's consumer CEO, now chairman of Rebuild Manufacturing. We talk about deployment. We talk about robotics manufacturing scale, right? Second release will be Alfred Lin, obviously one of the great capital allocators deploying capital on behalf of Sequoia into many of the very best companies out there, board member of ours, and Sequoia is a big backer of us, which is great. And then Bilal Zubair from was Lux Capital, is now raised his own seed stage investment to go after deep tech very early in red glasses. Exciting conversation with Bilal, and then Ross Fabini, XYZ VC, who, Anduril and other, major companies he's backed. So, thinking about how to deploy into things that really can scale. In the space of deploying robots at scale, right? Beyond just the Amazon experience of deploying hundreds of thousands of robots with Amazon. I'm really now just starting to think of, like, we're seeing humanoid robotics morph into this general category of human scale capability, right? And so robots are having different, stronger arms, lower bases, wheels. Like, the notion of a humanoid is starting to really morph. And I think we can really think of Proxy in the class of these human-capable robotics or humanoid robotics. And in that world, if we think of ourselves as a form of these human-capable humanoid robots, our deployments, we've now built, we just built our 59th robot. We've deployed in a half dozen different applications. At Mayo Clinic alone, we have 4 different process paths running in production, right? And we've moved over 4 million pounds of material. We've over 10,000 miles, right? So we're deploying at scale. This is the amount of, effort we have managed to save with just a small number of robots. There's so much of this work going on. But I think that, there's a good argument that I don't think anybody else has a deployment of 18 humanoid robots working anywhere, let alone doing 4 process paths every day in production, right? And so, Proxy is a super capable robot. I think, some of the interesting debate is what's it take to deploy robots, right? I think, and again, this is where, because there's such a lack of experience in what it actually takes to deploy robots, I think my thesis is we're going to find a lot of startups that are unbalanced, right? They're either very good at the AI, they're very good at hardware, but are they really good at synthesizing it all together and making it work in production environments for customers? And I think that's where, our experience at Cobot really sets us apart. But speaking, I talked a couple weeks ago about capital allocation, right? And my investment thesis around who are the great capital allocators and when great capital allocators are pouring money into spaces. And so I had the opportunity to attend a smaller event with Satya Nadella, hosted by Sequoia recently. And it's interesting. Satya said this precisely. He said, I have 2 jobs. I am a capital allocator and I am a talent allocator. And I thought that was a fascinating framing that, you as a leader, you're both applying capital and you're applying talent. You're attracting talent, you're applying talent to your problems. You need to be great at identifying and applying talent. We've talked a lot. I'm a huge believer that talent is what wins. And, my founding team included world-class recruiter, Sarah Rathbone's our VP of talent. She's built this team, amazing team, because I think talent is everything, right? But he said something else, which is fascinating, which I think we should think about, that increasingly he's also becoming a token allocator, right? In that we are likely to be capacity constrained in AI, right? That we are not yet building enough. There's more demand than we have been able to put power, infrastructure, data centers, fiber into the ground, right? And he basically said it bottlenecks all the way through now. And as a result, you have to allocate tokens. Which teams are going to get more AI capability and as much as AI is building the software, building when you're allocating tokens, you're allocating, computer intellectual capacity to problems. So it's a different form. It's kind of a merge between allocating talent and allocating capital. I think what's going to be interesting though is, are we just generically apply these kind of tokens and intelligence. I think we're going to find that some of these models, there's going to be some specialization, that applying talent, we're going to find models that are talented at different things. So it's fascinating to think of this kind of new world where you're not just allocating dollars to people, you're also, allocating AI capacity. I think, robots are going to become, we're doing everything we can to make sure we can scale, because as physical AI comes on board and as enterprises adopt these robotics, there's a real risk that if we don't have the supply chain set up, if we don't have the partnerships set up, that we won't be able to scale robots to meet the demand and need. And so again, when you think about deployment, how do you bring all that together? So keep following my LinkedIn feed, subscribe to the newsletter. I will put more information out around our new podcast, Deployed, in a couple weeks here, but look forward to that. Conversations with Jeff, Alfred, Bilal, Ross are amazing, and we'll obviously keep going from there. Those are the 4 that have been recorded so far. Awesome. Looking forward to sharing more in the coming weeks and hopefully helping elevate what it really takes to deploy robots above a little bit of the noise we're seeing right now in the ecosystem. Hey, thanks everyone.